I thought when you kind of aggregate the 90 minutes, we have probably as many good chances as we've had all season. Gabe is into some great spots and has some good looks. I think Joe had one. So I think, on the attacking side, again, not all things perfect on the build. I think, we lost some balls in some situations that we shouldn't, but I felt like in terms of chance creation, it was a good night for us on that side. We didn't take anything out of it. We didn't execute on the final action, but it fell to guys that we wanted them to fall to, and we would like to, to bury one or two of those things. On the defensive side, I thought we were a little bit stretched throughout the course of the game. I think at times we were a little bit low in the back line, which was stretching us out a little bit from front to back, which created little problems in terms of controlling them and managing it, a little too much space in the midfield. But again, it came down to a few moments, and a few moments that we should have and could have dealt with better. The one that's a penalty, fortunately we save it. But it's actually two of our defenders against one of theirs, and there just needs to be communication that Eddie has the inside and John can take the outside and take the line, and it doesn't seem like there's a communication that's happening there, because then he beats John and we end up with a foul. So we've got the numbers in the situation to deal with it, and we don't deal with it. The second and the goal that ends up being the game, we deal with the play, we lose possession, get caught in it, caught from behind in possession. Transitions, we still have numbers between the ball. We guess on the wrong side, which allows the player on the ball to face forward. Then that allows him to play the wide player into the space, and then it deflects on the cross, and it redirects in front of the goal. But again, we have enough numbers before, and we kind of compound a couple mistakes with mistakes, and then we give away. So again, playing on the road is a challenge, and I thought we created the chances, and we held our own in most situations defensively, but we didn't come away with anything. So that's there's plenty of that inside of that we can improve upon to improve our margins, and there's plenty of things to talk about in terms of the overall game. But again, the game sort of comes down to key moments and chances and who executes in terms of results, and we didn't execute, and they were able to punish us on a couple mistakes. But really one mistake, one goal.
Yeah, we saw during this game and afterwards, the tensions between the two teams seemed a little heated at times as well. Just do you feel like that impacted the way that you guys maybe attacked in the game, and where you guys mentally were at, chasing down the goal? And if you could provide any insights on the clash between the two sides. Thank you.
No, I think there's a little bit of history between the two teams now over the past couple of years. When we came here, Ricky got tackled from behind and he got hurt, and then there's a tackle on Ricky on the sideline a year ago at our place. Even in preseason, there's a lot of guys getting pieces of Gabe and others. So I think just the tensions between the group have risen over the last several meetings, and I think in the end, frustrations boil over a little bit. I don't think there was too much in it other than just a lot of, chirping back and forth.
Next, we'll go ahead with Sophie.
Hey, Greg, thank you for your time. The season prior to the championship winning season, one of the things that frustrated you was, as being able to control the ball and having patience on the ball versus trying to run through the processes. Mm-hmm. And it seems like that tempo and ball controller in midfield isn't there, and that seems to be leading to the spaces in the back line, but then also maybe Gabriel Peck trying too hard and not being patient enough. Do you think that's a fair or foul observation in terms of having that ball controller so you can control the tempo of the game?
Yeah, I think it's very fair. I mean, our midfield has taken some big changes over the course of the last few months. So with no Ricky and the other guys that aren't with us anymore, it's taken a big change in terms of the personalities of the players in there, the qualities of the players in there. Just the repetitions together are fewer. So yeah, and I do believe honestly, like in the way we want to play, and that controlling the middle of the field is so important with the ball, especially, and without the ball too. But with the ball, if we want to dictate the game in possession, then those connections have to be solid, you know, and they have to be consistent, and being able to work off of each other and read each other, show up for each other at the right times, solve different problems through the game based on how the opposition is choosing to defend at any given point. Sometimes they're going man to man, sometimes not so much. So I just think all of those things we're not as sharp in that regard, and so it has an impact on the overall flow and rhythm of the game. It has an impact sometimes on, you know, where and how we are able to create chances out of our ball possessions. So yeah, and I think sometimes it means we have to defend more, and because you know, if you have the ball a little bit less, you defend more, and if you're not as efficient with the ball, you don't necessarily create as many chances through your possession moments. And so yeah, I think there's some of that, but that's also we've also got to recognize we're not exactly the same group at the moment that we were a year ago, and we have to be able to adapt within the game and adapt. And again, I thought, while we weren't as efficient through midfield at times through the course of the night, we still got Gabe on the ball in some really good positions, with some really good looks on goal that, you know, I think on another day he can put into better spots and possibly get goals. And so there's still, I thought in this particular game, we still had, for a team that's now had 5 shutouts, you know, in Austin, I thought we created some very positive looking moments. And like I said, I think we had the guy or guys that we want on the ball in those situations with the opportunities at their feet, and it's about execution then. And so, but yeah, in terms of rhythm, flow, 90 minutes, all those kinds of things, certainly the midfield is a big part of dictating what the vision of the game is going to look like.
And a real quick one, a positive, after having some tough moments so far this season, John McCarthy had some really good saves, saved the penalty, and that must be a real positive for you, for him to be in that moment despite the challenges today. Yeah,
you know, I think John is again had some good saves today, and that's kind of what he was for us last year in those 1 or 2 moments where you need your keeper to come up big. He was there. You know, collectively this year, I think we've compounded more errors in moments. You know, whether those are starting ahead of John, or you know, or he's been involved in a couple, as have plenty of guys. I feel like we've just you're always going to make errors in the game of soccer. It's going to happen. It's a matter of not compounding them, and when an error happens, that we've got to close off whatever exposure we have in that moment. And right now, in too many situations through the game, when we make one error, we compound it with a second error or a third error, and that's where some of the moments that we're getting exposed in. And those are things we've got to shut down, and that's the work to be done. But John was there to save us in a couple of those moments where things broke down for us.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Sophie.
Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Greg, thanks so much for your time and for talking to us. The team's still looking for its first win. Christian Ramirez the other day shared with us so that the locker room is still firmly united and you know, behind your ideals. But do you personally worry about, is there some part perhaps of the message of your game plan or the system that's not sinking in, or that you're not personally satisfied with the team fully getting a grasp on yet? Thank you.
No, I think, you know, I think we all have a reasonable idea and vision of what we want things to look like. I think, again, executing is a big part of it for us. And, you know, today we a slightly different look just in the back line with Eric. We've had a little bit of instability there, and with Eric there, a little bit different. Went back to kind of a midfield. So we've making a lot of changes through this process and having guys settle into roles and responsibilities while executing things like that. I think it's a work in progress. When in the way we want to play the game, and I don't think we're going to do a 180 on the way we want to play the game, which is to be ball oriented and to use the ball well and to create our opportunities. That's not to say that we're not trying to create opportunities in transition as well, because we had those tonight. A couple of Gabe's great opportunities came through transition moments. We know Joe's going to get some through transitions moments, but until we got Joe back, we rarely had any transition moments. So we're adding that layer to our game. Inside of some of the possession stuff, the efficiency through the midfield is really important. I thought, there are pieces here that still need to come together. I think everybody understands that the vision for how we won a championship is still the vision for how we want to play. It's about some guys coming along, some guys who haven't played a ton or haven't played a lot in MLS are needing to learn and come along, and obviously the stress level builds when you're not getting results right away. But there's been a lot of guys kind of in and out, or guys out and coming into the lineup. So I don't sense from the whole group, there's a belief in what we're doing, because everybody's here because they want to be a part of a ball-oriented team and what we're trying to do to create and set up opportunities. So I think there's a process here in which everybody's got to get connected and find their level and be in sync. And through various changes and guys stepping up levels, it's just something that is still a work in progress. Again, it's really not completely surprising when you lose 3 of your top midfielders that you have some disconnect in your midfield. It's not as smooth and clean as it was before, and that's a part of the process here. Is we got to bring guys along to get them to where we need to get them to.
And we'll wrap with Anthony. Go ahead.
All right, thanks, Greg. Thank you for your time. So you mentioned getting guys back. Today you had Zabaleta making his first start in about a year. Royce came back. Mauricio Cuevas got some action. What did you think of each of their performances today?
I thought Eric got through the game pretty well. I think Eric did what he does, which is he generally makes good decisions in defensive moments. I felt like our line was a little bit lower than normally would be otherwise, because I think Eric is a little bit more used to at times being in a 3, and used to not necessarily being so active in getting the team higher and lower. I think he's a little bit more comfortable with setting a line and working from that particular position, if you will. And so I think at times we were a little lower in the back than I would like us to be, which led us to be a little spread out. And I think Amiro together and all that group can probably work through that a little sharper over the course of the game. But it's also, like you said, he hasn't had a ton of minutes over the last whatever year or so. I thought Marco came in and he gave us some quality on the ball, and he helped to get things sort of moving. We created some good moments when he came on. We initially put him on kind of like as a bit of a false 9. We felt like we could roll him into positions that we could establish some more control of the ball in the attacking half, and allow him the opportunities to slip Joe or Gabe or some of the guys through, or get our wide players more involved in the game. And then he dropped into the midfield, and then he helped us to kind of dictate things from there. So I thought from a possession and control period, all those kinds of things, I thought he was fine. Ultimately, we would like to get him, more goal dangerous, whether that's, setting guys up for final actions or for himself getting some more looks on goal. I know there was a corner kick that dropped on, and he just, he chose to pass back instead of maybe looking to shoot it. Things of that nature. But we need Marco, as he comes along, to help be a guy who's really contributing to the final action in goal production. As far as Mauricio, it was good to see Mauricio come on, because he gives us a guy who really can get into great crossing positions, and he played some great balls across the back line into some really dangerous areas. And now we've got to be committed to making the runs and beating our guys to get to those spots to see if we can redirect it. But I thought Mauricio did a good job of doing what we asked him to do when he came on, which is, like I said, get himself as high as he could and into positions where he could whip some balls into the box.
All right, thanks for your time, Greg.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.